Smok'n J's Garage. Today we're going to be changing the oil on our 2013 F-150. So you don't need a whole lot of tools for this. You're going to need a 15mm wrench, whether you use a box end, open end, or a ratchet, whatever's easiest for you. You're going to need oil, obviously. 5W20 is what Ford calls for this, but Roush wants you to put in a little bit heavier oil. We're going to go with a 5W30, and we're going to try Royal Purple. I haven't used that oil before, so we're just going to see if that makes any type of a difference. I'm using a K&N oil filter, HP 1017. That is the filter that you need if you have the 5.0 and you're using a K&N. I like using the K&N for several reasons. One of them, you get this fancy little sticker here that you can put up in your window, let you know when your next oil change is due. And if you can't get it on and off by hand, you can put a 1-inch wrench on there. I don't use this personally, but you do have the option to also safety wire your filter on if that's something that you want to do, depending on your application. We got our pan to drain it into, and we're going to need a funnel at the end. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pop off the oil cap right now, just so that the oil has some air to go through, helps it drain out, and we're going to crawl underneath. I've got a couple of rags ready in case I need them. Keep in mind, you've got an exhaust right here and right here. If you've been running your vehicle even for a little bit, those are going to be hot, so just keep that in mind. 15mm, we're going to loosen this up. We've got our pan underneath. Try to do this without making a real big mess. There we go. Now we're just going to let this drain for a little bit. We'll head back up to the top. While we're letting our oil drain, I just want to show you something real quick. A couple of videos ago, actually a while ago, because it was the beginning of winter here, I had dressed my tires with Adams graphene tire dressing. I did actually the driver's side, not the passenger side, but then my back wheels ended up getting switched when we put the other tires on while I was on the dyno. So this was treated with Adams graphene tire and dressing about 4 months ago. This is not my daily driver, so this has not been outside all the time, hasn't been driven all the time, but it has been driven in the snow. I pull my snowmobile trailer with it. It does live in the garage, but it definitely has seen some elements, and that is what it looks like about 4 months later, compared to, this is the back one, that at the same time was just washed and not treated. You can see that it's quite a bit dirtier and no shine at all to it. So I am pretty impressed with how well that graphene tire dressing has held up. We're gonna, when we wash the entire truck a little bit later in spring, as soon as we get a little bit nicer weather, we're gonna do the whole truck. We're gonna clay bar it. We're gonna do a little bit of paint correction. We got a couple of swirl marks we got to get rid of, so on and so forth. But we'll get into that in another video. Let's head back underneath the truck because we should be done dripping oil. Before installing your drain plug, go ahead and look at the rubber seal on it. Just make sure that that is in good shape. Ours is, so we're going to go ahead and put it in. We're still dripping a little bit here, but not much. I'm going to throw this plug back in, and then I'm going to wipe this down good because I don't want it to drip after I'm done. And we're going to make sure we put our wrench on and we snug it up. You don't need to over tighten it, but make sure that you get it good and snug. There we go. Now for our oil filter, we are going to move around to the front of the truck because that is the easiest place to get it from. So we'll head to the front. Right here is our oil filter. It's pretty easy to get to by hand. Ford put this little drain pan here because they didn't want it draining onto your frame, so it drains right out of here. So make sure you put your bucket underneath there. In their infinite wisdom, though, they made this have a little pool section right on top here. So once we pull out the filter and put our new one in, and this is done draining, I like to go in there with a rag and just make sure I clean that out, because otherwise a little bit of oil tends to sit there, and through movement and whatever, it tends to drip out a little bit more. Let me see if I can get a good angle here to loosen this up. I may have to get a wrench. It's turning. There we go. See, usually I crack that by hand just a little bit before I start filming, and I forgot to do that today, so kind of makes me look like I don't know what I'm doing. All right, hopefully we got this in the right spot. We're gonna pull this filter right out. There we go. And there you can see it dripping from this little drain. So we're gonna let that drip, and then we are going to clean out that spot. And this is not 2011. I don't think we have the same filter. I was incorrect about the oil filter on here. I don't know if I looked up the wrong year or just grabbed the wrong one. This HP 1017 I thought looked kind of small, but I pulled out this one is an HP 2011. This is the correct filter. I just Googled it to make sure that I do have the right one. This is the correct filter. So I'm gonna have to, this is a comparison. So they are the same. This filter would go on it, but you're not gonna have nearly as much filtering. So we are going to go and get one of these. It is looking like rain here, so by the time I get back with the correct filter, I don't want to have to film this in the rain because that doesn't make for good footage for you. So you've got your, pretend this is our new filter, right? And I'm not actually going to put it back on because I don't want to fill it up with oil and then pull my filter off and all my oil run out. So you're going to take some oil. You are going to lube up the seal here a little bit. You got this O-ring. Make sure that the O-ring's stuck onto your filter. If your O-ring is missing, make sure that you get it off, because if you put the new O-ring against the stuck O-ring, it will leak, okay? So you see how this one's nice and dry? Get it nice and lubed up like that because you're going to get a better seal. Go ahead and put this right back on the way you took it off, and then all we got to do is put oil in, and that's pretty easy. I will show you that. Also, that little pan where all the oil dripped out of from your filter, go ahead and clean that up a little bit with a rag or something, because that will drip a little bit more over time. So let's head on over here. I'm not going to physically pour in the oil, but we'll just show you how it's done. Take 6 quarts. Our filler is right here. I'm going to use a funnel because I'm going to spill otherwise. 6 quarts is what it calls for. If you have a catch can, like we have over here, or if you've got a different style, when you change your oil, that's always a good time to empty that out, find out if you got any crap in there. And put your 6 quarts in there, put your cap back on, and you are ready to go. Normally I show you that, and I pull out your dipstick and show you that it is full. Let me move around to the other side, because your dipstick is actually on this side. If you're not familiar with where it is straight down from your throttle body. Here's your throttle body. Yellow handle straight down there. I don't know if you can see. I'll let you come up the ladder here and take a look. You'll see that yellow handle. Climb up the ladder. Oh, can you see it? Right there. Can you see it? Right here is your dipstick. You're going to check that. There's going to be a full. You're going to go right up to the full. That's all there is to it. Unfortunately, the rain is going to hit, it looks like, before I get back with the correct filter. I apologize for that. But if you have any questions, or if I did not explain anything right, go ahead and leave something in the comments, and I will absolutely get back to you and try to give you a better explanation if you have any questions. If you're watching this channel for the first time and you haven't already, and you want to, boom, please subscribe.